Are we on?
We're trying.
We're trying to go on, you guys. Sorry. We just had the most messed up situation. It was really kind of unnerving, honestly. So hopefully, let's see who's going to be first. We always want to play who's on first, and that's always a fun game. But no, we were here. I mean, it was so weird, the things that just happened, and right before it all, like, they just threw us right off. I got super dizzy, so that tells me there are some other things involved. Who do we have? Oh, Eric. Hello, Eric. Jeffrey. Hello. Thanks, you guys, for coming in. Great to see you. There's K-Heads. Salutations. Vilden. Hello. Good morning to you too. Hi, Everett. Yes, we are back. We are sorry for that interruption. It was really kind of screwed up and kind of messed up, dimensional in nature. But here we are. We figured it out. The visitors. Great to see you. And there's DJ Christopher Cahill. Love you guys. Happy Friday to you too. Oh yeah, it's Friday the 13th, I think.
It is.
Oh, and there's our special K. Yes. Greetings and happy Friday, all. That's great. What a nice chat so far. So nice. So it sure is really, I mean, before we came on, it was just really crazy with all the computers, and we're still kind of having computer problems, but I'm glad to see we're on.
Well, we have like 7 computers at this point in time. If you look at the phones as computers, we have backup laptop. We have 3 hardwired.
That earns a ding, at least.
Vildan, thank you so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. You know, I have always known at some point we are all going to get cut off from each other. This has been part of the plan for a long time. And, it's getting tougher and tougher. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys find that they boot you off of your computers or your phones on a real regular basis now? I mean, it seems like I have to confirm it's me just about every day, at least every other day. They're booting me out and saying, confirm it's you, and then you have to do it multiple ways. And, this is just part of where we're going.
Mm-hmm. It's a mess. It really is a mess. And thanks again, Vildan. We appreciate it a lot. Yes, many apps have to I mean, it's been horrible here. It seems like Mike says every other day. It feels like it's every day, log in and make sure it's you. And then they have all these wonky ways, set up this and set up that and have your extra layer of security. We all know where this is going. We all absolutely know where this is going.
Yeah, and I saw a post today where somebody put in there to freeze people's bank accounts, on the left. And I was thinking, anybody that protests, I'm thinking, do you understand? You're literally asking for, what they're planning on implementing. You're asking them to manifest. That's insane. That's just insanity. But again, the world operates through keeping us so divided that we get blinded by our different allegiances, geopolitically, religious as well. So it's just crazy. It is crazy out there. We are into the thick of it. This is what we keep getting when we look for guidance every morning. We do our meditation, mantras. I do a card reading to get direction and guidance. And, what it's saying right now is kind of like a brace yourself and realize the bigger picture. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Ooh, K-Heads all the time. Freezing too. Special K says the same thing. Carolina morning. I've been listening since 2017. Lots of love from New Brunswick, Canada. Beautiful. Thank you. It's just absolute craziness that, again, they manipulate us into asking for the very thing they want us to ask. It's so obvious. True Gemma's in the house.
Mm-hmm. And it's just, we're kind of walking into it. little by little by little. And, Mike was saying, well, I think it's about not giving in to the darkness. And then I was thinking, well, in that case, what one person thinks is darkness, so another person might not. So I guess we each have to kind of decide, what is darkness for you, and create those boundaries, and not cross those boundaries when it comes time, so you're not going against yourself and what you truly believe.
And beliefs can change. Absolutely. As you get more information, come to new realizations. If they don't change, then the indoctrination has been too deep. If it causes a shaking of our reality, and that's where so many people are going to be at this point in time. Yes, absolutely, DJ. Time for lots of sage and grounding. And welcome aboard, Lit, for the live. I'm glad you caught one. We've been doing more and more lives again, like we used to many years ago. It was literally part of the problem with going live was we were getting hit with so many different types of energetic attacks and computer attacks too, that it got very, very hard to even get videos up. And this is part of where they try to wear you out. They try to wear you down and get you to just simply give in. Attrition. It's a war of attrition. Well, what we're getting in our daily guidance is it's time to really strengthen yourself. That old biblical term, gird your loins. In other words, watch out for low blows because they will be coming.
And they will. So we have a lot going on, and there's even maps out there online where you can see where these things are going on. I don't even know if we're allowed to say that R word. Sometimes other people can say words, but we're special, and we get put in timeout.
Yes, gatherings. Let's just say, there's a lot of gatherings that are being organized. And, this is one of the maps. There's multiple maps out there, as you see here. Here's another one. All these gatherings planned nationwide this Saturday. As you see, Yahoo News, Katie Mather, wording it in response to 47's military parade. Here we go. This is really the time that we've all knew was going to come at some point in time. Elena's been with us since 2017. I hope the Waynesville area has recovered from those crazy floods. That was a place that I was thinking could be the place. But, what I think the guides have had me realize through all the ventures and moving and life on the road is you got to be flexible in these times, because you don't know what's going to, necessarily come. And you could be all rooted in with the perfect homestead, think you got all the bases covered, and then all of a sudden, there's a hurricane, tornadoes, floods, fires, and you got to go. And then, hey, the best laid plans. We have to be adaptable. We have to be flexible.
Indeed. It's something that definitely takes time, but I think we need to be really healthy. We should be at the top of our game when it comes to our health. So anything we can do to make ourselves a little healthier today than yesterday, this could be a marathon. So our health can take a hit, if they're going to do things like shorten food supplies or put out there more fake food for people to eat than real food, then that can cause sickness and inflammation as well. So we should be working on, making sure we have a food source, a genuine food source, real food source, and taking care of ourselves emotionally, physically, spiritually. Find a spiritual way about you in the morning. We have 2 altars, and then every morning we do cards on the table. And this morning we did cards in general to see, well, what is the outlook. And we had the Akash come up pretty strong and saying, you're deeper into the Akash now, so you have more of an ability to create your reality. And then another card came up and it said, really be in the now. So I'm looking at those. I'm like, those don't feel right. But I think we can be in the now and stay positive and create our own reality.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of these because, we did live over in this area for a while and thought we were going to be settling in. Grants, New Mexico, apparently Grant City Hall Park. There's something planned over there. And over in Gallup, the Gallup Cultural Center. And then, of course, we were living in north of Pahrump, out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, they have something organized, No Kings Pahrump as well. Yeah, we've been all over the place. Wow, there's a lot of them. We'll see what this manifests as, kind of craziness in these times. But when you look at it and they say no kings, the reality is, what's the alternative? What was exactly 46's reign? It was Weekend at Bernie's. Oh, man. It was literally Weekend at Bernie's. And in reality, the real Biden never was president. The original, all the clones and actors, the real Biden never was, officially president.
No, and with all of this saying no kings, guess what? When mainstream wants you to see something, you can pretty much guarantee it's going to be the opposite. So what do they have in store for our future is, I think, what it's not, what they're saying it's not, is what they have in store for us. So yeah, can we do a card reading for the collective? Sure. Yeah, we can do that. Maybe, I don't know right now, but at some point that would be fun.
Yeah, as we see, Columbia, South Carolina, Asheville, these are all places I lived. Wilmington, North Carolina. One of my favorite places. I love living in Wilmington. Beautiful, beautiful place. So, it looks like what they want to do is create kind of all sorts of mayhem everywhere you look. It's absolutely par for the course in these times. What we've been seeing as far as getting guidance is again, it's going to be tumultuous, and we need to be as rooted and grounded as possible. Try to be as self-sufficient as possible. Try to work with neighbors, friends, family. Have plans. Have backup plans to your plans. This is all really, again, if you are backing the left, if you're backing the right, who are you really backing? What we need is real change, which you're not going to find in the system. What the system does is, again, it divides and it rules through this division. When you look at, all the chaos and craziness out there, it is absolutely part of a script. Part of a script that's so easy to see. And one of the other things that's easy to see is all the issues with planes. Again, we send our prayers and best wishes for everybody involved in that horrible plane crash that happened. Again, it was a plane going from India. It crashed right after takeoff. I guess it was going to the UK. And, mechanical failure, pilot error, we're always suspicious, and we've seen so many different incidents with airplanes. And coincidentally, again, what did Cindy see? Well, remote viewing, looking at 2035, there's not a lot of planes in the air. The world's a totally different place in just 10 years' time. And I think the changes are accelerating right now. We are in that crazy acceleration period right now, where everything is just going to be kind of a blur.
Mm-hmm. Everything is, so I think we need to focus on each other and help each other out, absolutely, where we can. That's one of the things that we can make a point of doing that every day. So when the cards say, you can create your own reality, I think we get grounded in that first thing every day.
So, here you had a ground stop issued at Houston's George Bush Airport after a security incident. Obviously, there's been too many of these for them to be all just simply coincidences. From plane crashes, remember the military helicopter that hit a plane. There's been so many small plane incidents, and then unfortunately, you get these larger incidents. I do want to share with you guys too. We could jump over there now. Again, this is Christoph. This is his official channel, 343,000 subscribers. It is in Polish. However, you can put the closed captions on, come over to settings, and change it from Polish to English. And what he was focusing in here, this was from yesterday, was talking about the plane crash, and he was seeing that there were mechanical issues. Again, he is perhaps Poland's one of their national treasures, a very, very gifted psychic that has worked in many cases, missing persons cases, and has helped police and federal authorities with different cases at times because of his gifts. And he saw there was definitely some sort of mechanical problems ongoing, and I am not surprised with that. Again, then you have to say, was it negligence? Was it maintenance issues? Was it cheap parts? Was it or was it sabotage? Was it literally sabotage because there's agendas in these times, to keep people from moving about freely? Again, when you look to the Weefers, they talk about people being locked into where they are. You'll have everything you need in that one apartment in that smart city. You can, again, order from Amazon. They'll come and bring it maybe within the hour. Wow, convenience. Yet at the same time, you won't move about freely. You are going to be given carbon allowances for travel. So, again, it's an enforced slavery, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's just getting worse and worse. And those who need the internet, who need to function off the internet, and they're making it tighter and tighter and tighter for control. We actually had to go in and set our computer so that it would stop turning off every 3 minutes. But in one of those options, there was help your carbon footprint. So yeah, it's starting. It's one of the options on the computer that you can set it to lessen your carbon footprint.
It's well underway. He also, he did see a plane crash. He has been so accurate on so much, it's mind-blowing. It's interesting. Cindy could pick up so much stuff, but there's some stuff that there's a block on from the higher self with. It doesn't let her see war, for instance, and things like that. Everybody has unique gifts for sure. But yeah, he was seeing definite mechanical issues there. But one of the things that was really interesting, besides his seeing a quake and a huge tsunami coming in our near future, because this is from Clear Seeing. This is little bits and pieces. This only gives you maybe not even 1% of everything that Christoph does. But it's orientated a little bit more towards the big dramatic events, and it's already translated in English. So here, he's talking about the nearest future, and what he's seeing in the most immediate future. First thing I saw was a big passenger plane burning in the air. Now this particular one was. He posted it June 12th. Originally, the prediction was on June 10th. So when you look at that, he was getting, a plane crash like a day before it actually happened. But that's not surprising because he's really good. And there are others that are like him. And in fact, this is going to be more the norm. See, that's the thing. They cannot hide the truth from us in the future. They can't just schmooze us over and give us a science that, backs the things that they want to do. because we're going to see right through it. And so many of us, I would gather to say, all the regulars see right through it right now. So as more people wake up, as more people shed off the toxins, work on purging, clearing, detoxing their systems, your abilities are going to be such that the system cannot function anymore. They can't get it over on us.
Clearing out the mind, body, and spirit. And that's a daily thing. That's something we can do every single day. And no one's going to be perfect at it, but just keep focusing on a little bit, better today than you were yesterday. So you can do that.
Did you see Inspire Me says that they had a panic attack today at work. Cindy was getting these energies that were making her feel very, very uncomfortable. And last night it was hitting me like a rock. Last night, it was around midnight. Truly had to get up for a while, kind of shake off the energies to go back to sleep. And, then slept like a rock for like 6 hours, which is not always the norm. But I was picking up on something too, and it was really bothering me. So I feel like we are very close to really serious major events. And Cezo's in the house. Greetings down there in Peru. Sometime maybe we'll come by in our trips, maybe post 2030. And Cezo will be available to show us around. That would be so cool.
It would be a lot of fun to go over there and, explore. We've been eyeballing it for a while, but, looking at this, really, I think our best bet is to get as healthy as we possibly can. I cannot stress that enough. That's what it feels like the guides are telling us to do. It's like you guys are pretty healthy, but you can always level up. So wherever you're at, you can always level up.
Yes. Hello, Christine, up in Connecticut. Hope you're not, bathed in all sorts of chemtrails up there like so much of the country. Cezo will be our guide. That would be awesome. Carolyn says yesterday I had to take the day off. Very heavy week energetically. Yeah, we could feel it. Those that are sensitive, you feel there's massive changes coming. Very, very big, massive changes. So what he's picking up here is, not just that plane. He's seeing something. He says, I have a feeling. He's seeing a plane, and then he goes into, I have a feeling that it's in the Balkans, or maybe Central Italy, the Adriatic Sea. So, another plane crash. Well, there was a prediction that he had that there would be 2 major plane crashes that change everything very closely together. So I wonder if this Air India one was one, and maybe there's another one right around the corner. Then he goes off and he starts getting an impression about, again, somewhere perhaps on the other hemisphere, in the area of perhaps South America, or maybe closer to Africa, but probably South America. He sees a cataclysm. Perhaps it's a quake and huge tsunami. So that really, he says, many people may perish. Let us hope that that's the timeline doesn't come into fruition. He says, I have a feeling these visions are different today, as if they are muffled. There is something going on. I think they're trying to put up a blockage, a wall, so we can't, tune in to what they have planned, because they do have some major events planned. When he was saying South America, I looked at South America. There's no quakes. There's nothing right now. And usually you'll have a little something going on to relieve energy, and right now there's no quakes. So maybe he's seeing a giant quake somewhere in the rift between South America and Africa. Oh man, then that gets me thinking, farther up north, gets me thinking about La Palma. But then he would have picked up, because that should have affected everybody, from the whole Atlantic seaboard over to Europe and everything else. So, maybe not something as big as La Palma. but maybe something, here, like a large one here that could actually bring about coastal inundations. We'll have to, again, put our intentions out there that the earth releases whatever tension and energy she has to release in a gentle way. But yeah, there's nothing going on here. So, and even over in this area, we're not seeing anything. So it could be something building. Let's hope not.
Mm-hmm. I know. Hopefully everything is going to be released in a different way. Maybe there'll be a little steam here or a little boom there, but nothing major. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. And I do feel the pressure build up, and it's not comfortable. And the problem with the pressure buildup, when it is Earth herself, they do have technologies that can trigger that and make it not so nice.
Yeah, I think the message for these times that we keep getting is to not be pulled into the fray. As we always keep saying, view things with a little bit of Buddhist detachment. Send out compassion and love, of course, but no fear, because again, they want the fear to feed the negative entities that end up carrying out so much work for them. When you see everything going on geopolitically, and you have judges ruling that 47 was not allowed to, basically take control, federalize the National Guard in California, and then that gets reversed. So, what you're seeing is this wild pendulum swings, and this is totally to keep us off balance and uncentered. This is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they're getting people used to seeing people in military. I also think that there's a lot of sound weapons out there, and I do think that they're going through a lot of our devices. I think the panic attack that she had could have very well been, a wave of energy being sent through your device. So I think as much as we can, unless it's something you have to do, putting down your devices when you think of it and just get grounded.
Yeah, absolutely. We ourselves have gone through many attacks. I mean, too many attacks to list. It's just a normal occurrence. And, I think one of the cures always is to just unplug routers, turn off all devices, and then we start to feel better. It's just that simple. Go out in the yard, take a walk, get out in nature. I think that's just a given at these times. It's a wild ride that we're watching right now. And when you look at, this is Peter Thiel being confronted. Just read the energy, because I know you guys could read the energy. And obviously he's a main force behind, the geopolitical situation. In fact, again, his companies, being used, again, to bring about a whole new level of surveillance. Here we have this left-right dichotomy that is on so many levels just overtly apparent, but yet it's really working towards one purpose, which is, again, containment of humans as much as possible. When you look at his energy, he's not a good guy. I mean, you cannot say he's a good guy. He's definitely wearing a dark hat in this world. That's pretty darn obvious. And then, the other thing that's really obvious is his reptilian buddies that are hanging with him.
They do. The reptilians seem to have a handle on this one when I look at either side. So it's a very interesting dynamic. We do have the reptilians on one part of it. We have Anunnaki on another part of it, and we also have blue avians, and then we have guides, angels. So it is very, very busy on the lower fourth right now. It is jam-packed. So a lot of people are jockeying for a position. A lot of people, I should say, a lot of entities are working on reaching in to people for their position. Now, when we have trauma, that's how we can be controlled. And so many people don't realize that the trauma can control them unless you know what to look for. When you know what to look for, then you know not to let that energy control you, but that's more about staying open and staying humble.
Yeah, absolutely. Palantir surveillance. Yeah. Again, as Cindy says, the reality is, this is just simply working for those either they're working for primarily the reptilian side of things, or again, they're working for the Anunnaki side of things. And that's a big umbrella term. But we could talk about the giants that came, that we refer to as, again, the Anunnaki, the ones that come from that Nibiruan point of origin, which again, Nibiru itself, when you look at it as a planet, it's a refugee planet, and it was basically kind of similar to Earth in some ways, but the system took hold there, took control of it, and it is very much kind of like Mars. The life support system that's in place there, the planet itself is barely alive. It's all the technology that keeps it going. And this is exactly what you have with the system. So, again, getting people used to the ideas of putting more and more foreign, substances into the body. We've seen so many people that have had to have things removed because their bodies in the ascension process will not tolerate the foreign substances in them anymore.
Yeah, that's going to become very, very interesting too as we move through the ages. Our bodies are changing, organs are changing, perceptions are changing. We no longer give each other so much grief because we are healing and we realize we don't need to. So many times people in our lives, they are a reflection of something we either do like in ourselves or we don't like in ourselves. But it may be coming from a perception that you're not even thinking of. So sometimes those guiding forces, even if they are through some type of trauma, maybe they're supposed to be there. So we don't always want to avoid that or push away our trauma. We want to look at the trauma and see, is this something I can let go or not? And really the soul will tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Then of course we have this strike that happened yesterday that really shocked the financial markets. The crypto market went all wonky. A lot of people were worried because, again, we knew it was coming. It's been telegraphed, and that Middle Eastern country struck Iran. And again, we even avoid mentioning the name of that country because, again, the dark energies attached to it are so palpable. And yet it is very much a critical point in all this. And what you have is literally, if you look at the script in the Old Testament, it says, I will put my hooks in their jaw and lead them into their own destruction, because that's exactly what the system does. How anybody could believe that's a benevolent being saying that is really beyond me, because, again, you should have at least some level of discernment in these times to not recognize that that's a dark, demonic entity that is speaking there. It's really, again, it's just a testament to how deeply indoctrinated humanity has been in these times. And yet we will shake that off. Those that are going to go on the ascension path and those that are not going to be pulled into the darkness. Yet, we saw it was coming. Again, Christoph, too, he talked about this, and he said there will be a Middle East war that pops up, and it's going to be started by, kind of like exactly what happened yesterday. Now, was that the event, or is there something bigger? He did see something bigger. He saw something that was going to cause more than consternation, just abject shock. An attack that was very, very large and would really just shock people and, ultimately draw the whole world into the chaos, because that's what they're doing. They feed off of this chaos. The other thing, too, that's really interesting with Christoph that I really enjoy is when he goes off on these tangents. And he's talking about the spiritual side of things. And he's talking about all these people that lost their lives in the plane, for instance. And what happens, is that he's seeing that a lot of them jumped out of their body before their bodies were probably even, terminated, so to speak. The soul jumps out. And, some of them are in shock and confused. He says some of them, the souls, ended up turning up in the airport that they were heading to. And I thought that was so wild because, gosh, that's almost like Lost. Remember when Lost did that whole thing and it turns out they were dead the whole time?
Well, you see that a lot when people have a really bad accident and say they do make it and they wake up in the hospital and then they say, oh, wow, the last thing I remember is eating lunch with my friend Nancy. So the soul does pop out before something majorly goes wrong to... I believe it's to help the body, to help the body process on its own without the extra fear. So it does happen. It's very, very interesting.
Good morning, Rosemary, over there in Australia. Just woke up at 1 a.m. Gary, yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg. It is, and it's going to be challenging, guys. Eye of the maelstrom. Well, that's actually, we're kind of in the eye of the storm right now. This is the pregnant pause before everything goes boom, big time. And yet we know it's coming. And, yet it's still part of the script that they have planned. We can screw things up the most by not falling for the divisive tactics, recognizing the dogma, whether it's political or religious, for what it is, just another tool to control people, and refusing to go along with that. And, again, part of that is to try to be as self-sufficient as possible, try to work on alternatives. I do think there's going to be alternatives. I think that people will find ways to barter and trade, or maybe they'll utilize small crypto systems to barter and trade across long distances as well.
Mm-hmm. I think they will. I think things are going to get figured out okay. It's, whatever goes on, it's not going to be the absolute end of the world. It's going to be change. It's going to be big change. And I think we are on kind of a rapid course right now. So when I look forward in the energy fields, it's interesting because what I see it's almost like somebody hits a fast forward button. I can't really quite explain it, but when I look into the energy, it's like a fast forward button, and just all the things you would see on a video if you were to hit 4 times faster, 5 times faster. It's a little bit entertaining, but that's what I see. So I do feel like there has been a timeline change where they are kind of moving us faster. So everything, when it comes to the AI, we might be seeing some extra things come up sooner rather than later.
And the one thing to keep in mind is, AI is only as good as the info it's getting. And, the control system, can they ever tell the truth? It's one of the things to realize that they're not used to telling the truth. They're not, certainly they are not intuitive. They don't have the source of all within them, as far as the AI doesn't. So, again, the AI is only going to have logic, deductive reasoning from the point of just analyzing facts, stats, figures. It won't have the insight that we have. And so it's always going to be limited when compared to us.
It will. When it comes to programming, here's the problem. The AI right now is being programmed by some extremely bright people. Well, the AI is going to take over a big part of most people's brains. People won't be using their brains too much, but the AI is still going to need to be programmed. So it's like this spiral downward. I see a spiral downward. I see AI getting stupider right along with people. So maybe that's the time we jump out and we do something different.
So as you see, so many of these people on the jet, when it started to happen, they all of a sudden found themselves in a strange place. And each one of us, it's like I think, coming up with a proper analogy could be challenging, but can you imagine that we're all in this reality here? It's like we've all put on our own virtual headsets, because everything in what you're seeing is literally contained within your consciousness. And yet there's this overlapping of one consciousness with the other, as ultimately we're all part of one consciousness. Again, I think the truest thing that we could take from the Hermetic teachings is that as above, so below, as within, so without. And does it fit that narrative when we look at ourselves as cells? And yet, here we are, cells in Mother Earth. You have cells in your body. As certain cells, die off, new cells will come in. And it's the same thing. We don't always incarnate on the same planet. And ultimately, at some point in time, most souls, I think, will probably move on to other ventures. But that might literally be 100,000 or more incarnations down the road. There's a bigger scheme of things when you look at the fact that we already are eternal. It's our nature. We are consciousness. So when you get to that immortality, what really is immortality? Well, we're immortal as far as the awareness that we think of as ourselves. Recognizing that you're not the body and you're not even the mind. The brain, again, is an operating system for the vehicle. And so, consciousness is not limited to your brain. And certainly, what's going on in your head and things like all these different sayings we have. Well, consciousness is a field that extends beyond the material realm.
Mm-hmm. So what I did get is when it comes to Earth and incarnating on Earth, karmically speaking, our karma needs to be balanced when we leave. Also, if we want to change frequencies, if you want to change a planet. So it's very important that we walk through our karma and have ourselves be equal by the time we leave these bodies, in case we want to go do something different.
Yes, the true currency is karma. So when we realize that, and you look to people like Peter Thiel here, and you look at the fact that him, Gil Bates, the sickle maker, et cetera, these beings have been overshadowed by other entities that are manipulating them into really accruing enormous amounts of negative karma. So they don't get away with it. They might get away with it in this life, but in the lives to come, they will be paying it off. And if they want to come back and do it all over again, their circumstances and situations are going to be very, very limited, and they have a lot to learn. So again, this is where it's key. We must rise above all the things that the system is trying to tempt us with.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, there's a whole lot going on, so we have to decide for ourselves, where are your boundaries? Because everyone has different boundaries, and who are we to decide what another person's boundary, whether that's higher or lower frequency? We really can't decide. We just have to decide for ourselves.
So as you look at the 1800 No Kings gatherings organized for Saturday, just be mindful. Is there any around you? Have you ever seen anything get a little hairy where you live, so to speak? This time that we're in right now, it's been telegraphed for a very, very long time. It's up to each person to make their own decisions. Are you going to ride out the storm where you are as best as you can? Again, I think so many people that felt the urge to make the moves made the moves. Maybe even, certainly 2017 awoken many people's consciousnesses to the fact that these are unusual times. Something is changing. 2020, that whole fiasco. Well, like I shared, we were all intent on settling and staying in New Mexico. But, the governor there was intolerable. The response to the lockdown situation was intolerable. So we headed towards Texas. Again, you got to make the decisions that are in alignment, hopefully, with the higher self, because some people, the higher self has decided that they're going to put you right in the middle of the eye of the storm. And that could be the purpose for you, is to be right there at ground zero to help those, that are going to need help when the chaos really hits. But if that's not the case for you, then again, have that daily spiritual practice. I can't think of anything more important than calming and stilling the mind, a mind-body-breath practice, yoga, Qigong, Tai Chi, meditation. Get out in nature and get into a receptive state where you can actually hear your guides. I just think back to living in cities and all the chaos and the music going by, boom, shakalaka, boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh man, there's no way we could live in a city, Cindy and I, of any size at this point in time. It's just we're too energy sensitive. And, that's us. But other people, like my mom, she would love to live in Manhattan. We're totally the opposite when it came to that. So, be true to yourself. And again, knowing thyself is the greatest thing that you can achieve to really discover who you are, because you are an individual fractal of source.
Mm-hmm. And we're all our own unique frequency and just slightly different, each one of us. So I think we need to honor that individuality and be good to your body and send energy out to those that it might benefit from.
Yeah, absolutely. Rosemary, before we go and let Cindy do her dings, just talking about 2020 and lately, cancer has exploded, blood cancer through the roof, all different types of cancers. Cindy and I have shared with you guys, one of the things that we're doing now more than ever is fasting. Every week we do 2 full days of fasting. One of the things that I feel is beneficial right now is to really take in only what your body truly needs, because so much of the food, water, and everything we're bringing in is truly toxic. So, again, taking in less toxins and working out. Yesterday was chest, shoulders, tris, abs, and a half hour of cardio, along with some Qigong. So this is how we live. We really do try to live what we teach as best as we can. So, again, these are part of the tools for surviving these times.
I agree. So keep in mind, you guys, today we're going to be using the lungs, and that can pull up grief. So I want you to think happy thoughts and think about how much better you're going to feel after the tuning, and hopefully you enjoy. And don't forget to drink lots of water after. Here we go. Okay, you guys, thanks for showing up. Thanks for all of your support. We appreciate it, and see you soon.
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without you guys. Much love. Again, you can reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail to make an appointment. Again, evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail. Source bless.